What's going on, YouTube boxing channel? It's your boy over here at the Sweet Science Brothers boxing channel, and I'm bringing to you this special edition of Boiler Room Boxing Talk. This video is going to be about Sergey the Crusher Kovalev and about how I think he is the most feared man, if not the most feared man, in boxing. Alright, let's fucking do it, man. What can you say about Sergey the Crusher Kovalev that his record doesn't already say for itself? I mean, the man has tremendous knockout power. And not only does he have tremendous knockout power, but a lot of these marquee opponents, he's not letting them see 12. Anytime you have a fighter like that who's knocking out top opposition, he's someone who needs to be taken seriously. The first time I heard about Sergey Kovalev was in 2011, and I'm going to give a quick brief description of, Sergey's. Before I get in any further, I'm going to give a quick brief description about certain Sergey Kovalev fights that stood out for me. But I'm going to start off from where I first heard about him at all. It was around 2011, 2010, and I was reading Boxing Scene in the morning before work, which is what I usually do. And I read this article about this boxer who passed away. His name was Roman Simakov. This man was involved in a fight in a bout with Sergey the Crusher Kovalev, and due to the injuries he sustained in the match, he passed away a couple days later. I didn't know anything about Sergey the Crusher Kovalev at this point, or Roman Simakov for that matter, and a few times a year you hear of a boxer passing away, and it's really tragic. It makes you kind of appreciate the things that our favorite boxers do for us. Every time they get out there, they risk their lives, and that's why I don't really appreciate the term, oh, he quit the fight, or he quit on the stool, or, I don't really appreciate terms like this, and it's because of reasons like this. I remember watching Marcos Maidana versus Victor Ortiz, and I remember after Victor Ortiz took some serious shots in the last 2 rounds before he quit, I remember Max Kellerman immediately started critiquing him for basically quitting the fight. And the fact of the matter is, we don't really know what was going on in his body, and only he really knows what's happening. You got to know yourself before anyone else can know, what's really going on. In the Roman Simakov fight, for example, there is a doctor present, as is usually the case when somebody dies in the ring. You got to know how you're feeling and the kind of damage that you're sustaining if you're fighting, But when you see fights like Timothy Bradley versus Ruslan Provodnikov, and you see him fighting almost in a concussious state, and he's doing it for the win, you really have a certain level of admiration for the dude, because boxing is really dangerous. So anyway, sorry about that side note. So I didn't really think much about what I heard, except that it was sad news. And one day, watching NBC boxing, didn't know who was fighting, didn't really look it up. I didn't really know anything about that event. I just saw NBC boxing. I said, let me check it out. So I was having a conversation with somebody, and then I hear the name Sergey Kovalev, and immediately it rang a bell. And I remembered the article I had read. I think it was the year before that. So I watched the fight, and Sergey Kovalev was fighting at the time. I think it was Gabriel Campillo. Yeah, it was Gabriel Campillo. It wasn't his first NBC fight, but it was the first one that I saw with him in it, and I recognized his name. I knew Gabriel Campillo because I saw Gabriel Campillo beat the shit out of Tavares Cloud, and then I saw him get robbed of a victory that he should have had for a belt that he should have had. So I watched this fight, and it's apparent that this dude is a big, big banger. He was knocking Campillo down and hurting him with arm punches. And I saw Campillo fight, as I said before. I saw him fight, and I knew that he was a seasoned veteran. I mean, that's apparent if you see a Gabriel Campillo fight, if you see him on one of his good days. So, immediately, this man, he had my attention. There's no doubt. Now, I'm going to fast forward it to 2013, his breakout year. His breakout year took place on HBO. It's also the year that Adonis Stevenson also broke out into the mainstream, you need to mention Adonis Stevenson whenever you're talking about Kovalev at this point, because their names are synonymous with one another. Adonis Stevenson's name is also synonymous in my book with coward, frightened, weak-willed, and also pussy. So 2013, we'll start with Adonis Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson knocks out Chad Dawson. It's a vicious shot, beautiful win. And then he goes on to beat Tavares Cloud, which I have already stated in this video I think was a fucking total bum. Overhyped and had too many opportunities that he didn't deserve, much like Andre Berto. I guess he didn't have as many opportunities as Andre Berto. But anyway, what did Sergey Kovalev do that year? He beats Nathan Cleverly in Wales. And anyone who's familiar with the Welsh fan base knows how hostile that environment must have been. Nathan Cleverly was a huge hometown favorite. And something needs to be said about boxers who are willing to go to hostile territory, like Terence Crawford, who went to England and he basically took the belt off of Ricky Burns. There's fighters who are willing to do things like that, and that's throwback. That's throwback. A lot of the great fighters have done that. You have to have a certain level of confidence in yourself to be able to do something like that. And I always admire someone who just doesn't give a shit, like Terence Crawford or Sergey Kovalev. And you'll notice that the trend there is that both of those guys, if they're not on the pound-for-pound list, should definitely be on the pound-for-pound list. So Sergey Kovalev goes and he disposes of Nathan Cleverly in like 3 or 4 rounds. And he was knocking him down and hurting him with arm punches, and he just massacred this dude. Now, Nathan Cleverly, if he was known for anything, he was known for having a great chin. Nathan Cleverly was not that bad of a fighter, and you got to respect him for taking a fight like Sergey Kovalev. I mean, you got bigger guys in the division like Adonis Stevenson who are changing fucking networks. But let's continue. So Sergey Kovalev also beats Ismail Salak that year. I think the Ismail Salak and I think the Tavares Cloud fight that Adonis Stevenson had, I think that they were on the same night. Sergey Kovalev beats this guy Ismail Salak, and a lot of people, they didn't really know who Ismail Salak was, but he was a highly touted amateur who turned pro, who I believe was undefeated, or maybe had 1 L, but the dude was a really good boxer, and Sergey just killed this dude. I mean, he knocked him out with a jab, basically, knocked him unconscious. Now, naturally, HBO, usually wanting to see the best fights, that's their track record. Many, many classics come from HBO. HBO stars horning the horn of battle for Sergey Kovalev versus Adonis Stevenson. They start talking about it all the time. And then all of a sudden, in a shock move in 2014, what does Adonis Stevenson do? The motherfucker signs with Al Heyman, HBO's rival, who also left HBO and switched networks, basically, started working with Showtime. He signs with him, making the fight fucking impossible. Adonis Stevenson didn't just make the fight impossible and miss out on a big payday. He also gave us the fucking fingers, the fans who pay his fucking bills. He gave us the fucking finger and decided to make this statement of, I don't give a shit who you all want me to fight. I'm going to fight who I want to fight as long as it means I keep winning and that I'm safe. So, I want everybody to recognize that Adonis Stevenson is a fucking coward. So anyway, Sergey Kovalev then goes on to later in his career, he ends up fighting Bernard Hopkins. He beats the shit out of Hopkins, makes him look like an old fucking man. Bernard Hopkins is one of my favorite fighters of all time. And I know that Bernard Hopkins was old at the time. And I know that that's what a lot of people will say. But the fact of the matter is, Bernard Hopkins, still at this age, is one of the best light heavyweights in the world. You can't diminish that at any time. He beat Jean Pascal, who Jean Pascal is up there in the light heavyweight division. So you can't diminish Bernard Hopkins' skill, even at this juncture. But Sergey the Crusher Kovalev just destroyed him. And one of the things Sergey never gets credit for is his phenomenal distancing. He always seemed to keep Bernard Hopkins at the end of his punches, which people struggled with throughout, Bernard Hopkins' whole career. Everybody who fought him basically had trouble keeping the fight at their rhythm, at their pace, and at, their distance. And Sergey did a phenomenal job. I mean, Joe Calzaghe had a pretty controversial win over Bernard Hopkins, and the only when he started turning the fight around, it was when he started kind of getting that distance down. Sergey had it down from the beginning of the fight. He then went on to beat Jean Pascal, and some of the haters, some of the fuckwit, bias-ass fans like Dante from Dante's Boxing Nation and his fans, and some of the people who post on Fight Hype, they thought that it was a premature stoppage somehow. Anybody who thinks that was a premature stoppage, I invite them to go watch the Sergey Kovalev versus Roman Simikov fight, because I watched that fight. And Sergey, he put that poor dude in a fucking body bag. Now, if you watch some of the facial expressions from Roman Simikov and you look at Jean Pascal's face after taking some of those big shots, they had almost an identical look on their face. A very dangerous look. I think the referee did a phenomenal job. They didn't rob us from anything. That was a perfect stoppage. The only thing that would have happened is Jean Pascal would have got hurt. Now, Sergey Kovalev isn't just feared by Adonis Stevenson. As it's starting to turn out, he's also afraid. He's also putting fear in the hearts of people like Andre Ward and the fan base of people like Andre Ward. It's becoming very apparent. Andre Ward is choosing to call out Gennady Golovkin, and he's got every right to call out whoever he wants. But he's choosing to call out Gennady Golovkin, who's a weight class under him. In fact, he's pretty much 2 weight classes under him, because Andre Ward can no longer make the 168-pound division, I believe. But he's calling out Gennady, and some of these biased-ass fans, these anti-HBO, anti-Gennady Golovkin, haters, are basically starting to put a lot of pressure for this fight. And, it just simply isn't fair. You want Gennady Golovkin to go up in weight to fight Andre Ward, but at the same time, you all want to criticize Gennady Golovkin for calling out Floyd Mayweather, and no one wants to talk about, from the Dante's boxing scene, from that type of crowd, nobody wants to, talk about a possible Floyd Mayweather versus Gennady Golovkin fight. I mean, it was even 50 Cent himself who said, I don't want Floyd Mayweather to go anywhere near Gennady Golovkin. But then he thought it'd be more fair for him to go up to 168 to fight Gennady Golovkin. So, the hypocrisy is very clear with a lot of these Floyd fans and a lot of these Gennady Golovkin haters. The real fight for Andre Ward is Sergey the Crusher Kovalev. I mean, anybody who really looks at the situation from the outside will know that it's the most realistic fight for Andre Ward, and it's the most significant fight for Sergey Kovalev. I mean, that'd be a big win for Sergey the Crusher Kovalev. But these fucking dudes don't want Sergey Kovalev to be fighting Andre Ward, because they fucking know what's going to happen. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. Sergey Kovalev is going to beat the shit out of Andre Ward. It's that simple. I believe it with 100% conviction. There is no other reason for somebody like Andre Ward, who's known for fighting everybody at every time, to then all of a sudden start using a smaller guy as a precursor to him even fighting Sergey Kovalev in the first place. He's starting to say, I'll fight Sergey Kovalev. Sure, I'd love to, but first I got to fight Gennady Golovkin. Why is Gennady Golovkin going to, risk this potential super fight that he's going to have with the winner of Cotto Canelo, assuming he gets past David Lemieux? It's fucking crazy. And also, a lot of these casual fucking fans over there at Fight Hype and Dante's Boxing Nation, those fucking anti-Gennady fucks, a lot of them, they don't even know who the fuck David Lemieux is. And they call us passionate fans. The biased fans. And they don't even know who fucking Lemieux is. That's because people like these people, they don't give a shit who's at the top of each division. They only give a shit at who they like in the division. They'll come up with 1,000 excuses for why the Andre Berto versus Floyd Mayweather fight is fine, and it's nothing to, get outraged about. But they'll want to cause this big fucking storm at the reason why Gennady Golovkin is fighting somebody in the top 5 in his own fucking division. You're calling for him to fight Arislan Lara, and you're not fucking calling for Floyd to fight Arislan Lara, and they're in the same fucking weight class. And I'm not sure if Floyd was stripped of that 154-pound belt, but he was recently or is still the champion at 154 pounds. So they want to turn around, they want to call you a casual fan because you want to see some of the top fights, you want to see difficult fights like Sergey Kovalev versus Andre Ward. But nah, they rather have Gennady Golovkin jump up 2 weight classes so he could be at a crazy disadvantage to fight this fucking dude, Andre Ward, who doesn't even fill out his own fucking stadium. All right? The only reason that fight is significant, Ward versus Golovkin, is because Gennady Golovkin is in that fight. If Gennady Golovkin isn't in an Andre Ward fight, Andre Ward does 400,000 views on free TV. All right? Paulie Malignaggi and Danny Garcia trump his shit. So, but we all know what this is. This is just an attempt at fucking, this is just an attempt at Andre Ward to try to cash out in his career. All right? Because the dude his net worth is fucking less than Paulie Malignaggi's. His net worth is less than even Paulie Shore, whom a lot of people believe is dead. I mean, that's how irrelevant Paulie Shore is. And his net worth trumps Andre Ward's. So, a lot of these fucks, they want to call for a biased, they want to call for fucking mismatches and shit. But that's because they're biased-ass fans. The whole world is turning upside down. They're justifying fucking travesties in boxing. Like the travesty of us not being able to watch a Sergey Kovalev versus Adonis Stevenson fight. A lot of these same Al Heyman bandwagon jockeys, a lot of these same fucks are the reason why we don't have unified champions in every division. A lot of these same fucks support people like Deontay Wilder, who was trying to be the A side over somebody like King Klitschko. But some of these are topics that I'll get into in later videos. But, we got to start separating the truth from falsehood because this shit is fucking crazy. I mean, honestly, what the fuck do these people think is going on here? They continuously call Andre Ward pound for pound number 2. Now, you tell me how the fuck Andre Ward is pound for pound number 2. How the fuck is that possible when this dude's barely been fighting at all and he's been fighting fucking canned tuna, all right? His opponents have been canned fucking tuna. I mean, Paul Smith is fucking garbage. I don't even remember his fight before Paul Smith. You know what I'm saying? So what does that mean by their logic? Joe Calzaghe can basically come out of retirement, fight 2 fucking women, and then end up at the top pound for pound list again? The fuck out of here. All right, it's disrespectful to the people who actually do shit in boxing, the people who consistently fight the best every fight they're in. It's disrespectful to people like Crawford, to people like Mayweather. I'm not even a Mayweather fan. I think he's a fucking dick. But, he does fight. He has been fighting up until, this Berto fight. He has been fighting people who, he's been fighting names. He's not doing an Andre Ward. And I can understand Andre Ward was on the shelf, some promotional issues, whatever. But he isn't pound for pound number 2 anymore. He's got to beat a Kovalev to remain on a list like that. You know what I'm saying? And Kovalev is now starting to call this fucking dude out because Kovalev, he lives in one of the most retarded time periods in history. People are no longer calling for the tough fights, but people actually want the easy ones. Because these same people who want to call you biased or casual fans, they're some passionate motherfuckers. All right? And you can see that shit is evident with fucking Flomo fans who, they'll shit all over Ronda Rousey. They don't mind attacking a woman for Floyd. You know what I'm saying? So imagine what they'll do if you start fucking calling for a Lara fight. You know what I'm saying? And you'll find a lot of these same Flomo fans, they're jumping on the Andre Ward bandwagon, and it's convenient because Gennady Golovkin started calling out Floyd Mayweather. So, that's basically my thoughts. And also, if Andre Ward's listening to this, man, you ain't getting no payday bigger than Kovalev because Gennady ain't gonna fight you unless he catches an L somewhere. He ain't gonna fight you. Why is he gonna come up to 168? He's the A side. You're the B side. And you need to really be well aware of that. You ain't making even 168 anymore. And you want this dude to come up to this weight class that he's never been at. And yeah, I know what some of these fucks are gonna say. Oh, he said he'll fight Chavez. And he'll fight Fracha at 168. So why won't he fight Andre Ward? Well, it's very simple. The difference between Ward and those people is that those people carry a hefty fucking suitcase of cash. You know, they're carrying all the fucking money at 168, or they were, because Froch, he ain't there anymore. You know what I'm saying? So Ward, you don't have that kind of fucking, you know, you don't get that kind of privilege to fight somebody like Gennady Golovkin. So, you know, this is my thoughts on that. You know, let's start trying to put some pressure on these fucks to call for a Kovalev versus Andre Ward fight, because that's the realistic fight, as I said before. So like, rate, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Leave a comment in the comment section. You know, my brother made a couple videos earlier, and, you know, we're really appreciating the support. So, you know, that's all for this, you know, this edition. So there's going to be an Andre Ward Mayweather reaction to the pay-per-view prices, and look for that later. Peace out.